New York City Mayor Mamdani joining forces with another prominent Democratic mayor.
Okay, he met at City Hall today with Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey. Fox 5's Morgan McKay is live there now. And Morgan, I imagine obviously immigration was the focus of this meeting.
Hey, Stephen, Teresa, you're exactly right. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey saying that it's important for mayors across the country to work together at this time, adding that it's important that what happened with Operation Metro Surge doesn't happen here in New York City. Now, Frey met privately with Mayor Mamdani for about an hour inside City Hall. We caught him going inside.
We want to make sure that our immigrant neighbors are protected, and mayors work together. You know, we're all operating in the reality business, and the reality is what just happened with Operation Metro Surge is not constitutional, is not okay, and is anti-American.
Now, New York City has not seen the same level of ICE activity as Minneapolis or surge in National Guard troops like other big cities. Many have contributed this to the work of Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch in keeping crime at historic lows here in the city. But sources tell us that she did not attend the meeting with the mayors. On the state level, Governor Kathy Hochul has proposed several bills pertaining to ICE, including a bill that would allow New Yorkers to sue ICE agents if they violate their civil rights, and another that would ban local law enforcement from working with ICE to deport someone for the crime of being in the country illegally. Right now, the NYPD only works with ICE on cases involving serious criminals. Mamdani also made his case to President Trump when he met with him at the White House in November that National Guard troops are not needed here in the city. Trump did threaten to pull federal funding from sanctuary cities by February 1st, but has so far not followed through on that threat. Frey was asked what advice he'll give to Mamdani to prevent a surge of ICE agents here in New York.
It's making sure that the federal government understands, hey, you know what? We are willing to work together to prevent violent crime. We are willing to work together to catch perpetrators of shootings and homicides and rape. But what we're not going to make this about is where you're from. It should be about the infraction that makes your city less safe.
Now, Mayor Mamdani sent a statement after the meeting saying that he enjoyed discussing ideas with Mayor Frey. They apparently also discussed long-distance running. Frey finished 15th in the New York City Marathon in 2008, according to the mayor's office. Reporting live from City Hall, I'm Morgan McKay. Stephen, Teresa, back to you.